Okay, so welcome to the course, How to Achieve Ultimate Fulfillment. Thank you everyone for coming and for being here. So today we're going to cover the big question. What do we need to do to have fulfillment in our lives? And the first thing that we have to ask ourselves, well, what is fulfillment? Sometimes we define fulfillment of we think if I only reach this certain sweet spot in life, when I'm able to have these things in place and in order, then I'll feel good. I'll be able to rest. And what I have found over time is that fulfillment isn't like a physical place. It's not an accumulation of things, of adventures, or of goods. It's not even reaching a certain level of comfort in life. Fulfillment, what I have found, is an energy. It's an energy that flows in the universe. It's part of the primordial energies, like the energy of love. And from all the other great energies come, like happiness, like sharing, like compassion. And fulfillment is one of these energies. So the question is, how do we attune ourselves to receive the blessing of this energy in our life? What I have found in my life is that the secrets to happiness, to fulfillment, to peace have been left here for us. A lot of great sages, a lot of divine mothers have passed through here, ascended masters, and they've left their teachings. I think a big question now is, how do we take them to today? How do we take this ancient knowledge and make it applicable in today's world? But we find that really what we're saying is, how do we make it understood? Because the essence of the teachings, the truth of the teachings, they remain. They're undeniable. They're unchangeable. They're absolute. So in this course, so these next 6 weeks, we're going to be going into deeper, more advanced concepts. And these concepts, you'll find as you apply them to your life, you'll have success with them. One sure way to make sure none of this works for you is to never try anything that we talk about here over the next 6 weeks. But I can tell you from direct experience and from watching it happen time and time and time again in people's lives, when you apply these concepts, when you actually develop the discipline for the application, you're going to reap the rewards in your life. When we want to understand fulfillment, it's important to understand a variety of things in life. We really to have that frequency of fulfillment. I think it's important to master the simpler wisdoms of life, at least at a very basic level, but to truly have a grasp of them. We find that in order to really be fulfilled in life, we have to let go of a lot of things. We have to let go of our attachments, our expectations. We have to let go of our traumas and our pains and our hurts. We have to be letting go of what we want and be willing to exchange it for what we most need. One of the first steps towards finding fulfillment in life is understanding that forgiveness brings us to love, and love brings us to the light. And that's something that we have to practice every day, is that path of applying forgiveness to ourselves and to others and stepping towards love. And once we have that love, we have light. Now that may sound like a very big thing, because there's a lot between us and getting to that place of love, getting to that place where we can be peaceful, where we can be joyful. But it's only seems like a lot because we perceive it that way. So when we look at fulfillment, we have to understand that the way we perceive things determines a lot about my experience. 300 people can see the same thing and perceive it in completely different ways. Having an awareness of our perception is key to fulfillment. What we need to do is so important. We need to go back and to see, we find the things that created blocks for us, that created triggers or reactions that are not really our own. If we're living with things that are not our own, that don't belong to us, how could we ever truly be happy? when we have a lack of balance between the mind, the body, and the spirit, how could we ever truly be happy? The spirit has a desire, the soul has a purpose, but we often drive the body in a pursuit that's opposite from what our soul is most desiring. And many times, to different degrees, we achieve different levels of success. You know, achieving success is when you set a goal for yourself and you achieve that goal, that you succeeded. You have a level of success in your life. Some people becoming very famous, other people becoming very rich, other people becoming scientists, doctors, lawyers, painters, dancers, chefs, teachers, nurses. Everybody has had a goal in their life and they've achieved those goals on average. And we've achieved that success. But what we found when we got there wasn't lasting fulfillment. And you're going to find that that pattern repeats in everyone's life that is chasing something. When we get it, when we get that thing that we were chasing, there's a temporary moment where we feel satisfied, where we feel happy. But this has happened to all of us. That moment is fleeting, it's temporary. Because that pursuit, while it gave us a physical satisfaction, it wasn't in alignment with our spirit. So everything that we sacrificed in the spirit to achieve that in the physical weighs on us and we feel it. That's why so many people that have a lot of financial wealth in this world have a lot of pain, because the more you gain in through the process of sacrificing what your soul wants, the heavier that burden becomes. I have seen myself have a considerable amount of money, and I see myself be considerably broke. And I found that the times in my life when I was happiest was when I was pursuing something that my soul wanted. When I had the courage to take the steps necessary and let go of the judgments, let go of what others thought in order to pursue what made my soul happiest. And this is why I'm here with you today, because I've realized what it really takes to find fulfillment in this world. And let me tell you, one time in my life, someone said something to me many years ago. That's what really got me started. And I'll always be grateful to them for this, because it's what got me started in the observation of what happiness is. And this person was very convinced that I couldn't identify with their problem because I had never suffered in my life. And this to me was very funny, because of course I've suffered. But in observation, I understood what they meant. See, problems come to all of us. You know, I used to have a teacher that would say, you know, the river of shit will always wash up on everyone's doorstep one day or another. So one day you wake up, everything was great last night, and today there's literally a river of shit flowing at your doorstep. You know, somebody's really sick. There's been some kind of financial trouble that was unforeseen, drastic changes in life, a terrible accident. Things happen. You know, recently I lost my best friend from the age of 16. And, you know, of course I grieved for her. And of course I've suffered other tragedies in my life. But the thing is, why do I always find fulfillment? Why do I always find joy and happiness? Is because of acceptance. Things happen and we have to accept them. There's no easy way around that. You can kick and you can scream and you can deny that, oh, this isn't fair, or this shouldn't have happened, but it did. So why put all your energy towards fighting it, towards resisting something that already is? You know, something as absolute as death. You know, even though mystically we understand that death is only a process, the physical aspect of death is pretty absolute in relative terms today. So why burn yourself? Why burn your energy kicking and screaming to the heavens instead of really going deep within yourself, accepting what's happened and seeking the light in the situation? Tantra has an amazing teaching. Tantra says that when you're able to taste the sweetness in a rotting corpse, you've achieved enlightenment. And what does that mean? It means that even in the filth of a rotting corpse, there's sacred matter, there's sacred essence. So when this river of shit flows to your door, yes, you can have an immediate reaction to it, you know. And this is the truth for anything in life. Any kind of trigger, whether it's somebody at work, somebody in your family, a romantic relationship, a stranger on the street, can say something, can do something, and trigger you into sadness, into anger, into depression, into rage. This is a reaction. When the shit flows to your door, it's coming. It's the equivalent to that person or that situation. You know in your life this is going to happen. It's going to happen in everybody's life. So now choose, how are you going to react to that moment? How are you going to react to that person? Our learned behavior that usually you can engage and go with the learned behavior that hasn't served you in the past and have the same end result. And usually when we engage in a learned behavior that hasn't served us in the past, the end result exhausts us. It leaves us feeling empty. It leaves us feeling vacant, like there's an absence inside of us. The other option, when this person comes, when this situation arises, when this river of shit flows to your door, that you know is already going to happen from time to time, instead of having an immediate reaction, you can take a step back and create a space and ask the light of the creator to come in, to guide you, to show you what the lesson is, to show you what is the best absolute route, course of action that you could take in that moment. Because what happens in our life is we go through life often very alone, and we don't invite the Holy Spirit into our life. We don't invite the Divine Mother into our life. And that's a daily thing. With the things that we're talking about here are daily practices for you to engage in. You know, and please, you know, take what works and leave behind what doesn't. But everything that I'm sharing with you are things that I've used in my life to have a really fantastic life. I mean, my life is absolutely awesome. You know, I sometimes it's like almost embarrassing to talk about how wonderful my life is, because I know other people, you know, and I had no special privileges growing up. You know, it was, you know, I don't have a trust fund or some kind of, you know, secret admirer that supports me. No, but what I have, and I've had since childhood, is an amazing alliance with the Creator. And I can tell you that that opportunity, that gift to pray daily, has been one of the biggest assets in building a life of fulfillment for myself. So when you have that situation, that person arise, the thing come in front of you that is not going to be pleasant, don't engage it right away. Take a step back and ask the light force of creation to come in and to guide you. Surrender your control over that situation. Surrender your control over your reaction, and allow the life force to come in and to guide what's going to happen. And this may sound very mystical, and maybe it is, but you know, in the world, what happens is one of the things that keeps people from fulfillment, that keeps us from fulfillment, is that we're very convinced by the things that we see. We think that everything that we see is, you know, is absolute proof of an absolute truth. And I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not true. Everything that we see with our eyes is about 1% of the total reality. Many ancient cultures agree with this, from the culture of Yahé to the culture of Kabbalah. The world that we see is 1%. 99% of everything else is in the ethers, in the world of the spirit. So when we talk about alchemy, when we talk about transmutation, when we talk about transcendence, what we're talking about is taking the physical experience and using our energetic knowledge, our knowledge of prayer, to transmutate, to alchemize a situation from negative to positive. This is one of the things to lasting fulfillment, because ultimately, when we speak about fulfillment, we're not talking about fleeting moments. We're talking about how can I find fulfillment in every stage, in every moment, in every instant of my life. And I'm very certain that it can be, because over the last 10 years of my life, maybe 12, the moments where I haven't been in a state of fulfillment have been very few. And I've noticed that as I deepen my discipline, as I deepen my spiritual practice, my physical awareness, there's more fulfillment in my life. There's more joy around me. And we're going to get a little bit more into that now, because we have to understand that there's also a physical aspect, because here in this world, and it took me a long time to understand this, the physical body, the appetites of the physical body, we're not here to conquer them. We're not here to punish them. We're not here to be ashamed of them. Rather, we're here to embrace them. We came into this existence with a physical body, a mental body, and a spiritual body. And part of our greatest mission is having alignment with these three. And I'm going to tell you, by no means do you have to have perfect alignment. Do you have to have the alignment of an ascended master to have fulfillment? Not at all, because I don't see myself as an ascended master by any means. I recognize through self-analysis that I'm not in 100% alignment with my body and spirit, but my alignment is enough where it sustains a beautiful frequency of fulfillment despite of what's going on around me, or what may be happening in my life. And fulfillment does something interesting. It gives you hope. You realize that if I have fulfillment in my life, then others can have fulfillment too. And in a planet where we have fulfilled experience of peace, we have an absence of war, we have an absence of scarcity. And what we're doing here today isn't just for us. We're not looking just to discover what fulfillment is for us. But my hope is that through the sharing of these wisdoms, through the sharings of these experiences, we'll be building a better future for our children. Because at some point in time, we're going to reincarnate. We're going to come back here. And we're going to be some of the very same children that we're looking to build a better future for. So here what we have is not just finding ways that we can have fulfillment in our life, but how can we extend that energy to all the beings of this planet for generations to come? So that brings us to another aspect of fulfillment, is our interaction with our external environment. How you're treating the world, how you're treating consciously and unconsciously. We should always be looking for ways that we can improve our interaction with nature. It's all relative to what we can, but if we can afford to bring a canvas bag to the shopping center, or boxes instead of plastic bags, if we can, when we go out to eat, not ask for them not to bring us a straw. When we go shopping, if maybe we can shop at local shops instead of large transnational stores. Maybe we can buy from organic farmers or organic co-op. Maybe it's not everything, but it's something. Is there volunteer work that you can do in your community? Are there elderly? Are there disabled? Are there children? Are there homeless? Is there something that calls out to you in your community that allows you to do volunteer work? Because getting outside of yourself, getting outside of how important you are and how little bit of time you have, is key to finding fulfillment. Because in fulfillment, there has to be abundance. You can't have fulfillment and have scarcity. A lot of times we think we don't have time for things, but really what we haven't done is organized our life. We haven't taken the time to put structure in our life, so there's chaos, so everything feels like it's out of place. And a lot of the steps that I share here, some of them you can put in place right away. Some of them takes a little bit of time to get there, because you have to make gradual adjustments in your life in order to get there. If your life is in a total state of chaos right now, it's going to take you a little longer, and you are going to have to work a little harder to reach that state of fulfillment versus someone who has more organization and who has, already made some of the sacrifices that you're about to make in order to bring in structure and an architecture of abundance into their life. So our interaction with our environment, how we treat nature and how we treat others, how we treat our children, our parents, how we treat our co-workers. This is really important. No one is perfect, but if you know that here are two key things. If you know you have an attitude, if you know you have an anger issue, then you have to take steps to resolve that. You have to practice meditations, breathing techniques, find exercises that let you burn off your energy. Practice Qigong or Tai Chi, or come drink Yahe. But if you know you have an issue that affects, impacts, limits, restricts, hinders, or hurts your relationships with other people, you have to address those things, or you're not going to find fulfillment. If it's alcohol, if it's TV, if it's drugs, if it's food. Everything in your life that is causing a blockage, everything in your life that is limiting you, that is causing you shame, needs to be addressed. It needs to be healed, or you're not going to find fulfillment. See, fulfillment is a treasure, and it's not easily awarded, because we can be complacent in our life. We can survive, we can get by, but that's not true fulfillment. Fulfillment is something, like I explained before, it's an energy that flows. So it has to flow through you in order to feel it. But as it's flowing through you, it has to be an energy that you're able to share with our external environment, the right attitude, the right words. You know, it can be basically said that if we want to find fulfillment in our life, what we have to do are three simple things: think beautiful, speak beautiful, and act beautiful. And really, we could stop right there, except I owe you guys a half hour. But seriously, that's really it. You know, if we think beautiful, if we speak beautiful, and we act beautiful, then everything in our life will be beautiful. And that's not to say that difficult things don't happen, but our perception of them, our balance in relationship to them, our acceptance of them will be beautiful. So I want to stop here for a moment, and I want to give you guys a mantra to practice. So please, if you can, write this down. If not, it'll be here in the recording for you. The mantra is, I am the love of my creator. I am my creator's love. I am love. I am the love of my creator. That we're going to speak about in every single class throughout the next 6 weeks starts with you. You have to love yourself more than anyone else loves you. Because there's a few ways to look at this. One way is from a very practical way. You set the value that you have. You set your own value. And no one else is ever going to dare move it up for you. You will always be the owner of your own value. The other way to look at it is that how could anyone love you if you don't love yourself? How could you love and share love if you don't love yourself? How could anyone find you worthy of sharing a life with, sharing a business with, sharing an adventure, a vacation, anything, if you don't find yourself worthy? If something in the past, if someone or some bodies or some situations in the past taught you that you weren't worthy of love, that you weren't good enough, that you weren't a beautiful being, they lied to you. At the very best, they were judging you on one circumstance, on one situation, on one fragment of your life. At the very best, in all probability, they were projecting onto you their own pain, their own sickness, and their own hurt. So if we look at our past life and we say, okay, these things happened to me, what value do you place on the sickness that these people had or these situations created? If that sickness to you isn't something that you treasure in your life, if their pain isn't something that you treasure in your life, why allow it to create the rules by which you're going to define yourself, by which you're going to think? If someone is sick and they did something that was sick, then that person is sick. There's no reason, whether if it was your mom or your dad or your grandparents, somebody that you admired a lot, it doesn't matter. They weren't well. There's no reason why you have to take their words to heart. There's no reason why you have to own that. It happened then. You can release it now. Everything that has to do with joy, with happiness, with fulfillment in your life starts with you. And all of it starts with healing from the past, with releasing the past. Okay? Forgiveness is a key part to that. Because when we have forgiveness, forgiveness brings us to gratitude. Okay? Gratitude brings us to acceptance. Acceptance brings us to reconciliation. Once we can reconcile, there's no more absence in our heart. There's no more disconnection between our soul, our mind, and our body. But it all starts with forgiveness. When we forgive, then we're able to move into gratitude. And many times in life we think, oh, we forgave, and we have. but we don't realize, because it's not easy to see how deep a trauma can be or how painful a trauma is. So we have to go back and forgive again and again and again. So for me, one of the most important tools that I use, one of the most difficult relationships in my life has been with my biological father. He has been quite a character. Oh my God. But you know, he took on a lot of karma. He really did, and I really appreciate that. And I love him and I respect him. I respect the role that his soul chose to play, which was a very difficult villainous role in this world. But it took me many years to get there. And for 3 years, I practiced a technique called the Ho'oponopono technique, or the Ho'oponopono method. And it's very simple in theory, but part of your homework is, if you're not familiar with this technique, is to go look it up and study it a little bit. And then to find 1 or 2 people in your life that you want to use this prayer with. And it's very simple. You can use it for yourself. You can use it for the world. I would use it for my dad. And so let's say that I want to work on self-forgiveness, which is very important. I say, Carlos, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I did this every day, felt changing towards my dad. And this for me was an ultimate release, because there's no way that I could have really been happier. There's no way that I could have grown beyond that point until I had resolved that pain in my psyche, that pain in my emotional body. So that's your next bit of homework, is the Ho'oponopono method. And I really recommend that you practice it every day. So here's another thing about the road to fulfillment. It's so important to have a daily spiritual practice. It's so important to deepen and to strengthen our relationships with the divine. So there's a simple outline that I like to use in daily prayer. Thanks to Divine Mother and Divine Father for life. I give thanks for my breath, for the birds, for whatever I'm feeling inspired in that moment to give thanks for. And I surrender my life. I surrender my life in mind, body, and soul to their will in pursuit of fulfilling my highest purpose. From there, I'll ask for prayers for people that I'm praying for the world. I like to ask that, personally, I like to ask that all the weapons of war become tools for life, for agriculture, for sustainability in this world. And then I like to give more gratitude. I like to give gratitude for the bounty that I'm going to receive today from my mind, my body, and my soul, and guidance in how to use my daily blessings, again, in pursuit of fulfilling my highest purpose. And then I like to ask for forgiveness. I like to ask forgiveness from the past, from anyone in past lives or any beings who I may have hurt or transgressed against. And then I like to offer forgiveness for the same, for any beings that in past lives or in this life may have hurt me or transgressed against me. I like to forgive them forgiveness. I like to ask that no one be judged nor cursed on my account, and that I not be judged nor cursed on the account of anyone else. And then I ask that my friends and family also receive forgiveness, and that they be able to give forgiveness, and that no one be judged nor cursed on their account, and they not be judged nor cursed on the account of anyone else. And then I like to offer a few prayers maybe for the water, for the air, for the sun, for the land, for the general well-being of life on earth. And that pretty sums up, that's a summary of my daily practice. And I only offer that to you as an outline, as a blueprint of a way that you can develop your own dialogue and your own prayer with the divine. Because I based that on, there was a great teacher called Yeshua ben Joseph. He's very commonly known as Jesus Christ. And in one of his writings, he left an outline of a prayer called the Our Father. And he said there, this is how you should pray. But I realized that I don't think that he was telling us these are the exact words we have to use, but rather this is an outline, a formula, like a mathematical formula for a way to structure prayers. because I think prayers are energies, and I think the energy of prayers can be stacked. I've seen this in shamanic work, and I've seen this in Kabbalistic work as well, that the energy of prayers can be stacked. So I find that this outline, based on the Our Father, is a very powerful outline that works well in developing a daily prayer practice. Of course, there's also daily meditation, and that's different than prayer, because prayer is a communication where you're actively engaging the mind, you're actively engaging in dialogue, and you hopefully at sometimes you're listening too, right? Because there's messages that come through prayer. And in meditation, we sit more in silence and we hold either a specific mantra or a specific energy or no energy at all. And we hold this in breath through different breath techniques or through different mental techniques or a combination of both. And meditation is edifying. Meditation is great for aligning the mind, the body, and the spirit. Meditation is a very powerful tool that I highly recommend, but it's never a substitute for prayer. Because let me tell you why prayer is such a big deal when it comes to fulfillment, right after this little tea break. The power of prayer creates an echo in the celestial realm. Okay, so not we can say the sound of your voice, but let us say the energy print of your essence pushes out the prayer. Your spirit is what's pushing out that prayer beyond the physical realm where we hear it or we mentally think it, into the celestial realms where the prayer is heard and analyzed and so forth. The more practice you have in prayer, the deeper your echo grooves are, the deeper your prayer print, let's call it, becomes. So for example, a little old person, a little old man, a little old lady who has been visiting the same church or the same rock for the last 35, 40 years, praying every day, no matter what they've been praying, so long as they've been praying with a purity of heart, with an intention of consciousness to the celestial forces, their voice is known. This is the person that you want to pay to have a prayer done for you. Because when they speak, the angels, oh, this is Mary, this is John, this is Maria, this is Jose, we know them. They're saying to us today. Because we know from cultures that the celestial forces love to hear humans speak. So the more we deepen that connection, the more we work on our prayer print, on making those grooves strong and deeper, that echo more concentrated. The more solid, the more efficient your intuition with the divine comes, or your connection, your ability to hear the divine, to see the messages in your life, and the more powerful the response comes, because we are one of them and we acknowledge it through our free will. So this is a huge step in the tools of fulfillment, is developing that daily practice. Because when we have that daily practice and we come to that reaction, we come to that river of shit flowing up on our doorstep, we come to that person or that situation and we're about to react, we have all those prayers already in our bank. You can take a step back and pray to the light to immediately come in. And because you've been doing the work, because you've been developing the relationship, the confidence is there on your part. You know that there's going to be a response. And boom, the light comes in and helps you deal with that moment with the highest level of grace, with the most amount of love possible. And this is what allows you to continuously flow in that energy of fulfillment, is being able to surrender to the light. So now we come to another thing. It's understood by many ancient sciences, the Mayans, the Kabbalists, even the culture of Yahé, and even modern spiritual science, like the string theory talks about it. And we understand that there's parallel universes, that our life, if you will, is like a movie theater. And let's say that there's 10 movies playing in the Cineplex, and you buy a ticket, but what you find out is that all the movies are the same movie. It's a version of your life. And in Cineplex 1 is the absolute worst version possible. And in number 10 is the absolute best version possible. The question is, how do we connect to the best version of our life possible? And one of the things that I have found in order to always be connected to the best version of your life possible is the following. Because it's true that we can create plans, and it's good to have goals, it's good to have dreams. And we can lay these goals and these dreams out, and it could be noble and righteous, and we can ask the Creator to bless us on our path to fulfilling these dreams. And that's a good plan, but I don't think it's the optimal plan. I think the optimal plan is when we say to the Creator, I surrender to you mind, body, and soul for the purpose of fulfilling my highest purpose possible. When you seek to fulfill the greatest purpose that you have in this life, and see, if you don't feel you have purpose, that's even a bigger problem, because we all have a purpose. We all have that's why we're all unique. That's why we're all different, because everyone here is for a very unique purpose in this world. Not one of us is an extra grain of sand. You know, each one of us brings beauty into this world. Each one of us, when we choose, brings a smile, shares a kind word, can be compassionate. You know, we don't have to donate $100 million to a cause. We just have to donate ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, and our words. So when we look to find fulfillment in our life, magicians, you don't have to be great shamans. You don't have to be great sorcerers to be a great healer of your own life. And God forbid that you find fulfillment and happiness, and through a cup of coffee, you share some things with someone else, and all of a sudden they're on the road to fulfillment too. Because it happens like that. We're all so delicately and fragilely connected by like these light strings, and everything that happens to each one of us affects the other one. It affects the algorithm of life. It affects the sphere of energy that surrounds us all. So when we choose to be alchemists, when we choose to be magicians and use the tools of prayer, of meditation, of forgiveness to find fulfillment for our own life, we're actually spreading that energy in the world around us. Now, it's really important to understand that you can never truly be fulfilled. You can never truly be happy if you have bitter relationships that surround you, toxic relationships. And it's important to understand, you know, if you're the one that's bringing toxicity to the environment, you have to stop that. You have to heal from the things that cause that in your life. And if you're exposing yourself to toxic relationships or environments, then you have to figure out a way to get away from that. No one deserves to be abused. No one deserves to be beaten or emotionally violated or verbally attacked on a regular basis. So this goes back to loving yourself. You have to love yourself enough to have an awareness of your external environments and your external relationships. And there you have to look at your internal environment and internal relationships. If you're abusing yourself, if you're not loving yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to find fulfillment. You know, I can't give you shortcuts. I can only give you the actual roadmap that I have found to being a very happy person. And I wish I could say, look, here's an easy way to do it, but I don't know of any easy ways. I can just tell you that the work that it takes to find fulfillment in your life is worth putting in. Because one day you wake up and you realize, my God, life is so beautiful. And then you wake up one day and you realize it's been years and life has been beautiful every day. One time I heard a challenge and I had to think about it for a while. It said, let today be the best day of your life, and let tomorrow be the best day of your life, and let every day after that be the best day of your life. And I'd like to give you the same challenge now. Let every day of your life be the absolute best day of your life. And you can really achieve that. But it goes back to the things that we started talking about: perspective, engagement, attachment. How am I looking at things in my life? Is it everyone else's fault? Am I constantly a victim? That possibly can't be true. How is my prayer life? How is my relationship with my environment internally and externally? Because when we come to realize is that ultimately you are responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your fulfillment. And that doesn't mean being greedy and selfish, because again, if you have everything and people around you are suffering or angry or upset, you're not truly going to be happy. But the pursuit of fulfillment takes a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of work. If you're doing things in your life that only make sense to your bank account, you're never going to find fulfillment. If you're living a life of absolute poverty and praying 18 hours a day and starving, you're never going to find fulfillment. You have to have balance in life. You have to have a balance between what feels good to you and what feels good to others. There has to be a balance between how much you love yourself and how much you love the world around you. And most importantly, there has to be a reconciliation with the past. We have to be willing to go and do the hard work, the painful work of forgiving. It's not easy to forgive someone that maybe robbed you at gunpoint or someone that raped you. It's not easy to forgive a parent that abandoned you or beat you. It's not easy to forgive these traumas, you know, but it's like anything else. I have this little stick here, you know, and this little stick, it doesn't weigh anything. But if I hold it out for an hour, my arm is going to cramp. If I hold it out for a day, my muscles are going to be in atrophy. If I hold it out for 30 years, my arm's going to be useless to me. And all I did was carry this stick around for 30 years. Imagine that our trauma, that our pain, not to belittle it, but to put it into perspective. It's only a moment in our life that's not happening right now. Why are we going to carry it around? Why are we going to allow the burden of the past to keep us from being happy today, from being excited, from being passionate? I don't know if you guys can hear the birds singing, but the birds sing, the sun is out, the water's wet, and you have all the power, all the ability to determine how happy you're going to be in your life, whether or not you're going to have fulfillment in your life. But you have to do the work. Okay, it's important to have that daily practice. It's important to have forgiveness. It's important for us to experience gratitude, to be grateful. It's important for us to be willing to find the sacred, even in the most nasty of things, like a decaying corpse. We have to be willing to forgive, to let go. We have to try to control all the time. Then the outcome is 100% your control. Okay? If we try to control all the time, the outcome is 100% yours to control. But if we surrender, if we truly find ourselves in that place where we're willing to use these mystical tools that the Creator left behind for us, and there's so many of them. I mean, we have a variety of plant medicines that we can use in our life, right? There's cacao, there's coca, there's San Pedro, there's peyote, there's yahe, there's mambe, there's rapé. But all these spirit plants, which is one of the last, this will be the last course, the last class on this course, you're going to find out that there's a way to commune with them. Just like right now, there's a way to commune with the Divine Mother, with the Holy Spirit, with celestial forces, and invite them into your life. Because it's really the beginning of being an alchemist, the beginning of being a magician on the path that I have followed, just on this path. It starts with prayer. And that prayer needs to include gratitude, forgiveness, surrender, and grace, a blessing for other things, a blessing for life. Because I'll give you an example. Joe and I have a discussion, a very intense discussion today at work. Very, very distasteful discussion. And I to a movie about what happened and what you're going to say, or you can recreate a movie. And in that movie, there's a lot of love and forgiveness between me and Joe. And the conversation flows with sweetness. And then that night, I pray for Joe, and I pray for our relationship, and I pray that the best outcome come. And when I'm going to work, I'm also going over that beautiful conversation again and again. What I'm doing there is I'm using alchemy to change the energy. And you can do that with any relationship. You can visualize over and over again a relationship. You can even get in front of the mirror and act it out if you want. Having beautiful conversations, peaceful conversations. edifying conversations with this person. And you'll see, I mean, some people's energy shell is harder than others. But if you practice, if you cast this spell enough times, calling it that, it will work. Okay, so what I'm telling you here is that if you align your mind, your body, and your spirit, if you allow the spirit to be the guide of all three as it comes into alignment, if you're willing to let go of the past, if you're willing to pray and pursue your passions, you will have fulfillment. You can't be happy in a life that sucks. Okay, if your job sucks, if your relationships suck, you have to change them. But you have to change them in honesty. Is it you that sucks? I'm saying there's a certain level of responsibility that we have to take. Because if not, the same thing just follows us over and over again. But if you need a better job, if you need a better life, you need to find the things that you're passionate about. And the best way to tap into those passions is to ask your soul, is to really have communication with your soul and to surrender everything to the creator. And so depending on where you're at in life, it's going to take a little bit more time or a little bit less time, okay? But for now, it's really important that for this next week, you guys review the Ho'oponopono method and begin to apply it every day. That you develop a prayer practice every day. And that every day, just observe yourself. Just for now, observe yourself. How are you reacting? How are you engaging? What are your relationships with yourself, with others, and the environment like? Every time that you have a negative thought or a negative, like a reaction, make a note of it and see what kind of lessons, what kind of programming you're giving yourself over the days. Well, does anybody have a question?
Yeah, can you repeat the key attributes of the prayer that you were talking about?
Of the prayer, as we went through them? So the prayer, what we have in the first part of the prayer is a recognition of the beauty that the divine offers us in life. So I express that by being grateful, usually for the birds, because I love hearing the birds chirp in the morning. And then I'll take a deep breath and I'll give gratitude for my lungs and for my healthy body. And then, maybe I feel a little swooned with the beauty of life. And there's a few things in the beauty of life that I might be grateful for. But everything in honor of the divine design of life, giving thanks to the divine mother and the sacred father for the structure of life. And there, then I'll move into praying for people or for situations in this world, things that I feel called to pray for and support in prayer. And then I'll move into prayers of forgiveness, where I ask for forgiveness and give forgiveness. And then I'll move into gratitude, being grateful for the bounty that I'm going to receive today, the nutrition for my mind, my body, and my soul, and asking for guidance on how to best use this nutrition in my purpose, share it, how to multiply it, how to apply it. And then I usually close by giving a prayer in support of life. It's usually for the children, general outline of that. Does anybody else have a question?
Okay. Carlos, the audio cut out when you gave the mantra to practice. Could you please repeat the mantra for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the mantra that you guys are going to practice daily is, I am the love of my creator. I am my creator's love. I am love. So guys, as you can see, what we're going to do here is not just theory. The road to ultimate fulfillment is a road, and it's a path, and we have to do the work. And I will give you the benefit of the key pillars in my life that have brought me to fulfillment and the tools and the teachings that I have used. But it's your responsibility to apply them. It's up to you to use them, okay? Next week is forgiveness and gratitude. And those are to me, that's like a staircase. If one half of the staircase is forgiveness and the other half is gratitude. And that staircase is what takes us above all the issues of life, what takes us above all the struggles, and brings us there into the astros, into that celestial connection. Guys, so if you have anything else, I really want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for being here. I want to remind you that fulfillment is an energy. Okay, it's a place of a where a frequency exists, and we have to raise our ability to connect with that frequency. As Teta Juanito explains, we're a crystal, and we have to do the work that's necessary because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be fulfilled. But we also have to take responsibility for the things in our life that aren't serving us, that we're holding on to, or that we're permitting to be there. So whether it's through Siahe, through Mambe, through meditation of everything, the tools for you to find physical balance are here in this world. For you to find spiritual liberation, they're here in this world. When you have physical balance, when you have spiritual liberation, you will have peace of mind. And then it won't matter what you have in the bank or don't have in the bank, because your heart will be full. It'll be full with the power of the Holy Spirit. It'll be full with love, and above all, with love for yourself. And that's where it starts. So this week's challenge is every day this week, greatest every second, with every instant, with every moment, that you fall in love with yourself more and more, with every instant, with every second, with every moment. I love you guys. God bless you. God is protect you. And may the love of our Creator always reign upon you. Thank you so much for being here, guys.